Yes, you can run GPT-4 class models on a Mac Mini M4. But the answer has a shape to it, and the shape matters if you're actually building something. Here's the setup. Apple's M4 chip, specifically the base Mac Mini configuration with 16 GB of unified memory, costs $599. That's the entry point. The M4 Pro with 24 or 48 GB costs more. What makes this conversation interesting right now is that the open-source model landscape has caught up enough that GPT-4 class is no longer a marketing fantasy. Models like Qwen 2.572b, Mistral Large, and Llama 3.370b are legitimately competitive on coding, reasoning, and instruction-following benchmarks. The question is whether the Mac Mini M4 can actually run them at a speed that's useful, not just technically possible. Let's talk memory first, because memory is the constraint that determines everything. A 70B parameter model quantized to 4-bit precision requires roughly 40 GB of VRAM to load. The base Mac Mini has 16 GB of unified memory. That's a hard wall. You cannot run a 70B model on 16 GB, not without offloading chunks to CPU, which drops your throughput to something unusable for interactive work. The M4 Pro with 48 GB changes that picture entirely. At 48 GB, a Q4 quantized 70B model fits in a memory with room to spare, and Apple's memory bandwidth on the M4 Pro, around 273 GB sus, is genuinely fast. On Llama 3.370b, you're looking at roughly 20 to 25 tokens per second with llama.cpp, or Ollama. That's not blazing. It's comfortable for chat. It's borderline for anything that needs real-time streaming at scale. For the 16 GB base model, the story is different. You're realistically capped at 7B to 13B parameter models running well, or 32B models at aggressive quantization with performance trade-offs. Qwen 2.5 to 32B at Q4 fits in 16 GB and runs at around 15 to 18 tokens per second. It's a strong model. It's not GPT-4, but it's closer than most people expected a $599 machine to get. If this is useful, subscribing means you'll see the next one. Now let's talk about what GPT-4 class actually means in practice on these benchmarks. On MMLU, Llama 3.370b scores around 86. GPT-4 Turbo scores around 86.5. On Human Eval for coding, 2.572b is within a few percentage points of GPT-4. These numbers are real. They're also incomplete. Benchmark performance and production performance are not the same thing. GPT-4 still has better instruction following on edge cases, better tool use consistency, and a longer effective context window in practice. The open models are close. They're not identical. If your workload is summarization, code completion, RAG over internal docs, or structured data extraction, the 70B class models on a 48 GB M4 Pro are genuinely viable. If your workload depends on GPT-4's specific behavior at the margins, you'll feel the gap. The honest caveat is this. Most of the benchmarks you'll see for local model performance on Apple Silicon are run under ideal conditions. Single user, no background load, fresh context. In a real dev environment with other processes running, browser open, maybe a Docker container in the background, you will see performance drop. Not catastrophically, but the 25 tokens per second figure becomes 18 or 19. That's still workable. Just don't build your latency budget around the best case number. There's also a cost calculus worth running. If you're spending $40 to $60 a month on OpenAI API calls for development and testing, a Mac Mini M4 Pro pays for itself in under 2 years. And you get a machine you own with no rate limits, no data leaving your network, and no API key rotation headaches. For teams running internal tooling, fine-tuned models, or anything with privacy constraints, the economics get even more favorable fast. Bottom line, the Mac Mini M4 with 16 GB is a capable local inference machine for 7B to 32B models. The M4 Pro with 48 GB is the configuration that actually runs GPT-4 class 70B models at usable speed. Usable meaning interactive, Single-user development workloads, not production serving at any real concurrency. If that's your use case, this hardware is worth serious consideration. Next up, I'm going to run a direct head-to-head between Llama 3.370B on the M4 Pro and GPT-4o on a set of real coding tasks. Same prompts, same rubric, actual output comparison.